Good evening. Welcome to our meeting. I'd like to welcome everybody here and on this beautiful autumn evening. Here we go. Hi, Stephanie. I'd like to jump to number 3, agenda approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 4, teacher recognition by the Scott County Education Association.
All right, at this time, if Courtney Casebolt could come on up. Come on up, we'll let you have the stage.
So just in case, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Courtney Casebolt. I'm the president of the Scott County Education Association. Here with us, we have Lisa Hanson. She's our secretary of the association. Andrew Burgoon is our vice president of the association. And Julie Adams is our co-treasurer. Our teachers are the foundation of our school system. They worked super hard, especially during the pandemic, giving their all to Scott County students. And this year, SCEA is grateful to partner with Scott County Schools in a monthly teacher recognition. On behalf of SCEA and Scott County Schools, Superintendent-elect Parker and I will present an award of excellence in honor of one teacher per school per month. By the end of each of the year, we will have honored a teacher from each school in the district. The teacher is chosen and nominated by coworkers. And for the month of September, we recognize Julia Little, a teacher at Ann Mason Elementary. Unfortunately, she couldn't join us tonight, but she has expressed great gratitude in the award and for the recognition. And at the October 21st board meeting, we will honor a teacher from both Creekside and Eastern Elementary schools. And we thank the Scott County Board of Education for partnering with SCEA and honoring our teachers each month at the beginning of each meeting. Although SCEA has a plentiful number of teacher members, our officers will be arranging visits to each school over the calendar year to expand our certified and classified membership. Scott County Education Association has been active in our community and invited to speak at local events. I have been chosen to represent KEA Central District in a KEA Fellows program. As part of this program, I will be attending the National Education Association Conference in the spring, and I will be working in close collaboration with our president, Eddie Campbell. Scott County Education Association wants to say thank you to all you, the board members, for making choices to keep students and staff safe and in person. When it is difficult to lean on legislators to make the right decisions for public education, it is a relief to know that Scott County board members value our input and will do what it takes to keep students and staff safe. So thank you, and thank you for letting us be here. We appreciate you all.
And Ms. Casebolt, you have, you said you have with you got Miss Lisa Hanson,
I do.
right?
I have Miss Hanson
Well,
here.
Miss Hanson, if you don't
She's our
mind,
secretary.
I've got a Scott County Schools coin I'd like to present you. I appreciate your time and effort that you have given to this, because I know. Yes. Here, let's get a picture.
Thank
Let's
you.
get a picture.
I can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Casebolt worked really hard
Thank
at
you.
trying to make sure that she has all the support she needs for the organization here in Scott County, and we've had numerous talks about it. And Ms. Hanson, thank you so much for coming on board to help her out. I know she really appreciates all the support that you can give her, because through the strength of the organization, it'll really help out our teachers and our students and our district at large. So thank you all both very much.
Yes, and thank you all. We appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. Number 5, public comment. I have a list of a few people that have signed up for public comment. Just to try to keep things kind of flowing through, it's very important as to what you'd like to speak about. We've asked that you could limit your comments to 3 minutes. We would appreciate that greatly. The first person I have on the list is Courtney Casebolt.
I didn't know if I was supposed to sign in or not, so I signed in just in case. I don't have
I'm so
anything else
sorry.
to
I
say,
saw the
though.
first name. I knew Casebolt, but I apologize.
Thank you. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Linda Wiggins.
You have to wait just I'm a little bit slow.
Oh, that's quite all right.
First First, I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak with you. And I'll keep it short.
You're fine, you're fine, thank you.
My name is Linda Wiggins. I am a retired elementary school teacher and a taxpayer in Georgetown, Kentucky. And I just wanted you to be aware that I live around here. Anyway, I am requesting that you change your mask policy. Leave the decision whether to mask children or not to the parents of each child. Dr. Peter McCullough, MD, MPH, is a doctor of internal medicine, cardiology, and I say this wrong every time, epidemiology. He is considered an expert in COVID-19, having studied it since its inception. In his interview on Victory's Flashpoint, Thursday, July 29, 2021, he said he was successful treating all patients, even in their 90s, by starting out at the outset of symptoms with various drugs like HCQ, ivermectin, monoclonal antibodies, oral steroids, antibiotics, budesonide inhalers, aspirin, and blood thinners. He also explained that there have been 12 tests done on the effectiveness of masks, and none, I repeat, none showed any benefits for stopping the spread of COVID. We shouldn't even be wearing these masks because they don't do any good. Placing a mask on children becomes even more ludicrous because it has been proven that children do not spread COVID-19. Your mask policy is an overreach of your responsibilities. When you were elected, these are just the school board members, it was not to co-parent in medical issues. It is your responsibility to provide education, and that is all. I am not minimizing the efforts of providing education. To me, it would be a daunting task to run a school system, but focus on education should be your priority. So I reiterate, leave the decision of mask or not to the parents of each child.
Thank you very much. Kathy Young?
Younger.
Younger, Susan.
That's okay.
Because you are younger, right?
Hello.
Hello. Okay, first of all, I'm just a nana, okay? I'm not an educator. And I'm Kathy Younger, and I have custody of my twin grandsons who go to Scott County High School. And I want to say that I appreciate all of you. I appreciate the great responsibility that rests on your shoulders, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. The first thing I'd like to say is, I'd like to say to you, Mr. Billy Parker, is I missed the meet and greet. Okay, didn't get to meet you. But I wanted to let you know that I, and some of the ladies here, led a call to prayer when the board was selecting, was selecting the new superintendent. And all of them can vouch to that. We bombarded y'all with emails saying we were praying for you and your decision. Well, that's not going to work. Okay. So I just wanted you to know that so God, a higher power than this board, chose you to be our superintendent for these difficult times. And there's a lot of responsibility resting upon you. And we just want you to know that we are praying for you because all of you all have a huge responsibility for the safety and for the education of our children. Jim Caviezel, you know who that is or not? He's the actor that played in The Passion of Christ. He made this statement: we weren't made to fit in. We were made to stand out. And that's what I'm here to ask all of you all to do today. Stand out and to not fit in for the children of Scott County. I know that you believe you're protecting our children by wearing a mask because that's what you've been told to do. That's all we hear. But I'm here to challenge all of you to do your own research on math, to get your own answers. You're not going to find any answers on Google, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, because they're censored. And it's not, and I know you all know that. We are, as Americans, we are being censored from the truth. So I'm going to suggest some sites to you that you've probably never heard of. Some of you might have. Rumble. I don't see anybody writing them down. Rumble. And there's one called DuckDuckGo. Yeah, that's funny, but it's the same thing as Google, only it's not censored. And you can get these apps on your phone. And I want you to do a search for proof that masks don't work and mask dangers. And you will find all this info. There are multiple studies on these subjects that you're not being told. And there are even OSHA studies on this. So, all I ask is that when you lay your head down at night, ask yourself, am I fitting in? Or am I requiring students to wear a mask all day? Or am I standing out by doing my own research for the students in Scott County when making decisions for them? Because once we know, once we have the knowledge, we're accountable for that. So I want to thank you all for all that you do. I'm not criticizing you in any way. I'm just challenging you. Okay? Don't just believe everything you hear and what's being passed down the pipe. Do your own research. I don't believe everything I hear, and I know that's all we're hearing right now, but do your own research. And I thank you. And if you don't mind, I'd like to pray for you all. Can I do that? Okay.
Probably that. Go ahead.
Dear Lord and Heavenly Father, I lift up this new elected superintendent, our current superintendent, and all these board members, Lord. We live in difficult times. And they, our board, and our students are facing many challenges every day, not just COVID, but other challenges. We are being divided. And I pray, oh God, that you lead all in, Lord. Give them wisdom and guidance and discernment in everything that they do. And listen to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. All right, that's all who have signed up for this evening, correct? Okay. Number 6, consent agenda items A through K.
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 7, approve archery fee for Ann Mason Elementary.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 8, approve emergency certification as listed, items 8A through 8D.
Move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 9, student achievement report. Welcome, Ms. Williams.
Hello. Good evening. I just wanted to remind everybody that our focus at the Office of Student Learning is about our recovery work. And we really think of our work this year in terms of like a triangle and 3 points of it, which would be around acceleration, PLCs, and culture and climate. And so I want to talk about how we had a great time in schools last week. Our team was in every single school in the county, and we did learning walks and also observed the professional learning communities that were happening in schools. And so while we were there, our look-fors were did we see learning goals, which is that overall student-friendly language of what standards students should be learning, and did we see success criteria as far as could they outline in measurable steps that were in progressive order what students should be learning throughout the process, as well as formative assessments. And so through that work, we were really excited to see all the learning goals and success criteria that were visible and accessible in classrooms. We observed that students were able to explain what they were learning. In the elementary schools, we saw learning centers and RTI work in full swing. We also saw lots of scaffolds that were in place to make sure that kids were learning. So anchor charts, exemplars, modeling, sentence starters, reading guides, and guided notes. And we also were able to observe those professional learning communities where teachers were getting together to plan those lessons and really look at student data. And so through those structures, we were excited to see that all of those learning communities had administrators that were present and were helping to facilitate those conversations. Teacher teams were working really hard together to plan those engaging activities, and they were really engaging in naming and claiming students and looking at that most recent assessment data that they had to determine what those next steps were going to be for students. And we were super excited to see all stakeholders at the table. So we had our EL teachers that were involved, our special education, our interventionists, and so that was great to see. So based off of what we observed, we're looking forward to our next steps. And so those are really about incorporating more training on what does that acceleration model that we learned in recovery look like within the PLC structure, and focusing in on making sure that our products from our success criteria are high quality, so continuing to work on that. The other thing that I am excited to report on is that we had our first foundations meeting this month, which is focused on our positive behavior systems in our district. And we had our teams together, and they were working on establishing student of concern teams, as well as creating those school culture agreements in their buildings. And so I will, at this time, just kind of defer to our Foundations core team to see if they have any additional things they'd like to say or to expand on anything.
No, it's just with everything that's going on and the stress and you know what teachers are feeling right now. We really are putting an emphasis through Foundations this year on building that culture of security and safety within our schools, and really working on building that collaborative culture among our teachers as well, so that they feel like they're in a good, safe place and can work through some of that together. So that's what we're started down the road of.
Any questions from the board?
I'm sorry, what, we're creating some sort of, I missed what you said, a contract or a something?
Culture agreements.
Okay, tell me what that is.
Do you want to talk more about culture agreements?
That's your baby. Culture commitments.
We are focusing a lot on the CASEL work, and that's just the social and emotional learning framework for the state. It's put out by the state, but one of the things that they have in there as a model is where staff work together to create staff culture agreements. And those agreements are, it takes them through a process where they think about what behaviors that the adults in the building they have or they show that creates a positive culture in the building that then obviously impacts student learning in a positive way. So by our next meeting, they'll all have a draft of their 10 culture agreements for their school.
I love that.
Once those are done, not the drafts, but once they're final, would you get those to us?
Yeah, I'd like to see them.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Number 10, construction report. Dwayne?
Good evening, everyone. I think the main focus for me today was to talk about project updates related to all the summer projects that we shared at the beginning of the spring and whatnot. So just going to kind of talk about a few that are still out there and kind of the process to hopefully finish some of those up. The door project that we're all excited about at Garth and Western is still delayed because we just don't have the doors yet.
Now, are you talking outside doors and interior
Both.
doors?
Both interior and exterior doors and access control at both of those schools.
Right, so I know we talk about this all the time, but for the interior doors at Garth, what's happening there?
They'll have to replace the frame and the doors. So because it's wooden frames, we'll get metal doors or metal frames with wooden doors.
So we can't keep the wooden doors and just put the locking mechanism in that door?
No, because you still have a wooden frame. And wooden frames are not acceptable in today's world. So,
I don't know about that, but
Well, you could bust a door in really easily with a wooden frame.
So we could maybe do metal frame but keep the wooden door?
You'd have a custom frame that doesn't match any door out there.
I think it's about the locking mechanism
Right.
that are in.
But I mean, just like when you change a lock on any door,
You just worry about the aesthetics, everything's.
I don't wanna lose those fabulous doors. You know, they're historical, they're.
I don't know if they're historical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dwayne, when are those scheduled to actually come in? I know that you ordered them some time ago, correct?
Right.
We're just having
Months
supply
ago.
issues,
Yeah,
right?
we ordered these months ago.
Do we have any, have they given you an update?
We
Which
hope
could
that we're
change?
installing by Christmas break.
Okay,
So some of it is already in, just not all of it, you know, where you want to get in there and dive in. Because there is, you know, it's pretty, it's gonna be a pretty involved project,
mhm.
with Kate in behind.
If there's no way to save those doors physically in the space, can we at least save them somewhere? Like when you take them out, can you put them, because,
I just don't know what we would do with it.
well, as much as, like, I don't want these words to come out of my mouth, one day that won't be a school anymore. And whoever takes ownership of that building and wants to like restore it would probably want those original things. Yeah, just.
You're asking if we're not surplus, then I guess we're.
Yes, I'm saying don't trash them.
No, I don't plan on trashing it, but I don't know what we'll do with it. They'll take up a lot of space somewhere. You're talking, once you start counting doors, there's a lot of doors in the school. So you're talking probably 50 doors. So, but yeah, we can hang on to them, put them somewhere.
We can talk about that a little bit more.
I'm gonna be very passionate about
Anything,
No, go ahead.
So, some of that it has already started, like the access control install is already happening at Western. So then when they're ready to install those doors. The metal doors are a little bit easier to get through, so we might be able to knock out some of the exterior doors even before Christmas, like we did at Northern. Northern's doors are done, the exterior doors, because we'd already done the interior doors there back a couple of years ago. GMS bleacher and press box replacement. We just continue to bang our head against KDE on that, getting the funding from the GMS edition and the BG5 took, I don't know, GM weeks, months. I mean, it was months going back and forth with them. We did 12 different ways they asked us to do it, and it kept coming back. So finally got through that phase just last week. I mean, this started whenever we agreed to do this. So now we're in the BG1 process of going through others. So hopefully still this fall, before winter hits, we get that. But still, we're going through KDE, so who knows the timeline.
Is your plan to start it this fall? Is that what you're saying,
As
Dwayne?
soon as we can.
I mean, that's the plan, you
Yeah.
know, that plan to come in.
If we have weather, yeah,
Yeah,
and we get through KDE,
okay,
as soon as we can go, we're going.
okay,
As soon as I can get a couple weeks of good weather, we'll knock it out.
yeah.
I mean, it'll go fast once we're ready, once we get KDE out.
I'm assuming our biggest barrier is going to be at that point, probably after we get through all the red tape that we need to, basically.
Yeah,
Then it's just the weather,
yes,
where
that's
we
it.
at as we're
Yeah.
heading into winter.
Teledyne and that, those guys, they knock this stuff out fast.
Okay.
Once they're ready to go,
Wonderful,
so.
thank you.
And that'll be a much needed improvement there. Soffit and Ann Mason, we'll finish during fall break. That's ready to roll. Just, we're waiting on metal, and we finally got that, and it's ready to roll now. So that'll help that underneath awning. Light poles at ECS Western, that'll finish before fall break. Dusty and Andrew will knock that out next week, we hope. I think the weather's gonna work with us. I gave you guys updates, I think, already on the basketball goals. That's gonna happen during Christmas break, so we should be in good shape there. Pretty much most of the big things that are kind of still out there that haven't already been finished. But you can see there's 2 pages, and this is pretty small because I can barely read it. This is what the guys knocked out this last couple of months. So, kudos to the team. They've been, really getting after it and getting things done. And there's a lot of things that are on, not on this list. So,
Okay.
if there's any other things that project-wise that you guys had questions about, glad.
You had asked me about that earlier, and really it was just looking for just some updates on some of those projects.
I don't know if there's something else that you already, had questions on.
I did not. Did anybody?
The only question I have as far as those smaller, I guess, projects is that ongoing question, and if you couldn't fix, I'm gonna feel stupid, but I'll put it out there just to see, is that Scott County Middle School, the bleacher situation, has there been any more
No.
discussion on that situation?
Most of my focus on bleachers in GMS right now, trying to get their
Okay.
groups. So, yeah, it's on the board as far as something we want to tackle and get through.
Fair enough, I just did where that was on the list.
What about mowing at the farm, now that we're not leasing it out? Kind of looks like it's just going up to hay almost. Can we get somebody out there to tidy it up a little bit?
If you want to have hay fever all the time, yeah. He's knocked it down when they've asked him to in certain areas. But spending manpower on something that is not, we were hoping, that it's destroyed here in the next few months. It's not been something we focused on.
Right, I understand. I just, it's kind of, look a little unsatisfied.
He's knocked it down 3 or 4 times. It's just, we've chosen to use our manpower elsewhere.
Maybe
So that we
it'll
have
die down pretty soon.
It'll cold weather to help.
Yeah, it'll change the looks of it a little. I got a question about the list that I guess we talked about here a while back. I just hadn't touched my base.
Just, Wiley just sent me a couple of quotes.
I didn't know.
I was over there.
He couldn't find,
yesterday,
he couldn't
yeah.
find you gotta get through quotes and stuff like that. He couldn't find a third quote for the longest time. He got that to me this week. So hopefully we'll be able to get that. I don't know how long, the lead time or anything like that, but we're moving forward. So he finally got pricing. Of course, it's his technical world, so I let him drive the boat on it.
Well, that's like when I brought it up with Billy, I don't know, I just know that's probably the best guy to ask.
No, yeah.
Exactly
I
what
happened to
you
be
had
right
ask.
there yesterday, and he had mentioned, he's like, as I said, hey, he's like, oh, I just got the third one, so he was.
That always seems to take a minute. And I know that we had also had a couple discussions on how to tidy up the area and our little welding storage area there. I know that's ongoing and finding solutions.
Yeah, we actually have met there 2 or 3 times since then, and we think we have a pretty good idea about how to get back in behind there and also kind of screen a little bit.
Okay,
So, and talked with Wiley about that as well. So, feel pretty good about the plan to get it back behind, even not even out in front.
Okay.
The fencing area, kind of get it behind the building, get it out of the way.
is that something we'll do here and then this fall?
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah,
fall?
yeah.
Ish.
And
Okay,
depending on weather, maybe sooner than later.
okay,
Yeah, just some concrete and some concrete really.
okay,
Getting some stuff out of our way on the way up.
okay,
Just making it level enough to get the forklift, the weight, and things like that. And then finding a way to screen it to where maybe you don't have a fence, but maybe it's bushes and things like that where it kind of hides.
okay,
Because if you put a fence up, you've got to get over the fence with the 25-foot stuff that you put on. So fencing is problematic too. So working around that has
Okay.
been a little bit of an issue.
okay,
But we think we've got a pretty good idea of how collectively now.
okay. All right, that sounds wonderful. Anybody have any more questions? Construction? Okay.
Thank you,
for
guys.
sharing that with us. I
No
I
problem.
appreciate the
Go ahead.
progress. Number 11, approve items for surplus.
Second.
All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 12, review and approve district funding assurances fiscal year '22.
Second.
All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 13, approve changes to authorized signers on school activity account.
Second.
All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 14, approve the 2021-2022 working budget. I have a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Yeah.
Did
Did you want to talk to us a little bit?
No, I just. if you-
Well, number 15 is financial statements.
If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to address them. I think I met with a few of you and kind of went over a few things.
Yes,
If
thank
you have
you.
any questions.
I
We
appreciate
got
that.
2 months worth of financial statements for you today. July and August 2021. July, our beginning balance was 14.3 million. We had receipts of 12.9 million. We had expenditures of 3.5 million. And we had fund transfers back and forth of 7.2 million, leaving our ending cash balance at 16.5 million. We had 6 million in investments, Cedars, and it left our ending cash balance at 10.5 million. In August, we started with 16.5 million. We had receipts of 5.9 million, expenses of 9.3 million, transfers of $500,000, leaving our ending cash balance at 13.6 million. We cashed in all our Cedars because we switched banks, and we left our cash balance at 13.6 million. Any questions?
All right, thank you, Gina. Thank you for everything. Number 16, approve current bills.
Second.
All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 17, superintendent's report.
All right, well, this time around, Dr. Hubbs let me run the show with this superintendent's report. I'll start off with the new Scott County High School. We've talked about some of the things that could potentially come on the horizon, and we have experienced some delays with the approvals necessary to put the project out to bid. And it does impact our bid date, but we'll still be able to open the new Scott County High School in the summer of 2024, as it's been our current timeline. It's tied up a lot in approvals with needed by the Corps of Engineers, and we're hopeful to be able to consider bids before the first of the year, and we're in great shape, even if it's as late as February. So just wanted to share that. Like I said, that still puts us in good shape for summer of 2024. Also under strategic leadership, Scott County's strategic plan. Scott County United, so they got to 2020 because they had the Vision 2020 that they had, and now that they're there, they started with the strategic planning process to go, to go beyond that. So really, at this point, we've had one meeting. In that meeting was a lot of just sharing of data that was provided through some surveys that they had from people in the community, and I think the next meeting, I think they've got some focus groups that they're really going to be trying to drill down on a lot of different data there. It was an interesting conversation, I guess, to say the least. Some of the problems that we're dealing with as a community, it's interesting to see other communities that were comparable, and then other issues that maybe we're not dealing with that other communities are having to deal with as well. As it was led by a gentleman that does a lot of that strategic planning work for a lot of communities like Scott County. Under number 2, instructional leadership, the first day of preschool for students, that was a little different than the first day for all of our other schools because they start a little bit later. So me and Miosha and Dwayne went out and just checked out everything going on there. And it's a little bit different because especially those first few days, they don't have quite as many students in those classrooms. So there's a lot of individual one-on-one attention going on. But it was really neat to see. Really neat to see what was going on there at preschool. And then data disaggregation meetings. So here recently, I get to spend a lot of time with Miosha, but I don't get to spend as much time with Robin. She's usually out and about and real involved with the OSL team, and we've been able to have some conversations. We're really involved with some of the data that's going to be coming out that we'll be able to share a little bit next week. Cultural leadership. So the Teacher of the Year and Employee of the Year presentations. Those have come at really good times for me. There have been days when we've been dealing with dreary kinds of things, but we gave out, I think our most recent was at Royal Spring Middle the other day for Donovan Kearns. And we did James Ramsey at Scott County High School before that. And then the Employee of the Year, we presented for Classified Employee of the Year to our nurses. Super appreciative. They had a meeting last Friday and we were able to get over there and see them. And that kind of, I really wish number 5 was next because that kind of leads into the test to stay, but I'll jump on that here in just a second. Another opportunity that I had with cultural leadership was going to a meeting with our local realtors. So I got to go with Diana to Elmar's meeting, and I buried the lead there though because the best piece of information I totally neglected our info finder that we have on our website for for looking up addresses and figuring out, you know, what schools am I districted for. So we talked about that, but I think other than that, I think I did okay.
Absolutely.
But that was the only piece that I kind of was missing. But otherwise, there were a lot of different, just different questions about some of the things we're dealing with in today's current world, and thoughts on moving forward. And student safety, school safety was brought up a little bit. But it was a really good meeting, and they had a lot of really good questions. Under number 4, human resources leadership. So in preparation for our work session in November, we've already started gearing up and looking at some regional comparisons of salary schedules, just to kind of see where we are there. And I've talked to a few of you on some of the work that I've done with that, and I'll just kind of leave that one there because we've got some time until November. Managerial leadership, I should have put in the greatest size font I could find, just scribble all over it, test to stay in big letters, because that's probably carried a lot of my time here recently. The test to stay is that opportunity that we're going to try and find where we can work with a lab. Mako Lab is who we're partnering with on this. And with Test to Stay, it gives us an opportunity to get our students tested on a daily basis so that they can escape these quarantines, because that would put potentially around 200 to 250 students back in our schools every day so that they aren't having to miss instruction. It's been something that I've been, my thoughts on it have evolved since we started really looking at it. Initially, I was looking at it more for employees at first, because there could be a lot of moving parts to it, but the more we worked through all the details, the more it looked like something that would really work out for us. It won't require, in some districts they're doing regional centers where families have to drive to those centers, but the way we'll have it structured, it'll be in each school building so that they can, get what they need at the local level there, and be able to just roll on. Did do a lot of coordination with Crystal Miller, had her on several conference calls with me to make sure it was exactly what we were looking for and what we were needing. Under number 6, collaborative leadership, had a meeting with Alonzo Allen and Dr. Akakpo of BCTC, and we just were talking about the partnership that we've always had, and Dr. Akakpo was super appreciative of the work that we've been able to do together, and we just talked about different things that we'd like to continue to be able to do. And I've got a follow-up meeting we were trying to schedule for tomorrow, but things kind of fell apart on that. But Dr. Akakpo and myself will be meeting to discuss that a little bit further here in the near future. Standard 7, influential leadership. I had a meeting with Andy Barr. It was wonderful. We spent probably about 45 minutes to an hour just kind of talking through some things. It was wonderful. You know, it's been really wonderful for me to see all of the support that we have in our community from local legislators. And it was a great meeting, and definitely feel like he's someone we can lean on if we're in a pinch and need to do that. Then last, speaking of legislators, had some conversations with Philip Pratt here recently. We were talking about the Math Achievement Fund grant. Recently, they've shifted what that grant looks like and how we'll be able to use it. It looks kind of like to our detriment, so it may be something we might not even consider the way that it's structured. So my conversations with him were centered around, you know, how did it come to be this way? What was the thought process on it? And we just had some conversations back and forth, and I was able to explain to him the importance for our elementary schools of that grant, the way it had been structured, and some of the difficulties with the way they got it structured currently. So that would be superintendent report.
All right, thank you so much. Number 18.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good evening.
Great job.
Take care.